You might know that the ancient Egyptians were buried in great pyramids and that they were made into mummies, but I bet you didn't know that their religion was much more complicated than that. They believed in an afterlife, much like many religions do today. They also believed in many other things, including gods and goddesses. The ancient Egyptians believed in numerous gods and goddesses that included Adam, Ra, Osiris, and Anubis. Each of their cities had its own principal god, that if the city would become capital of Egypt, would become supreme god of all of Egypt. These local deities also had temples dedicated to them where rituals were held and offerings were brought to. The ancient Egyptians also believed that the pharaohs were living gods. Therefore, they were highly respected. The Egyptian pharaohs, during the time of their reign, owned all of Egypt, including its people. They also believed that while the pharaohs were alive, they were Horus, the son of Osiris, but when they died, they became Osiris himself. However, all these gods were not always worshipped. Ancient Egyptians first began worshipping gods with two protectors of the realm. They were Nekhbet and Wadjet. They were represented as a vulture and cobra, respectively. The reason behind their being vulture and cobra is because vultures and cobras were believed to be self-creating, and in this way, divine. The ancient Egyptians also believed in Mot, the goddess of balance, law, and order. They believed that Egypt had to be kept in perfect balance, or else it would go back to being the watery waste of Nun, from which they believed Egypt was created. They also believed that when they died, their heart would be weighed by Anubis against a feather that represented Mot. If they lived a good life, then their heart would balance with the feather, and they would be allowed to go to the afterlife. If not, then they would cease to exist. This, however, was not the only thing that Egyptians thought would need to happen to allow them to go to the afterlife. Egyptians also believed that to go to the afterlife, they would need to reunite with their Ka, or soul. But in order for this to happen, their body would need to remain intact so that the Ka could recognize them. To keep their body intact, they mummified it. This process took approximately 70 days and was very expensive. While the ancient Egyptians had a very complex religion, their religion was not unlike most religions today. I bet that you could find some similarities between your religion and the ancient Egyptians. In this way, the world hasn't really changed all that much in the last 5,000 years, now has it?